Hi everyone, my name is Lindsay and I work for Skills Development Scotland in the My World of Work Live team. So My World of Work Live is about helping you young people understand what jobs Scotland is going to need in the future and what sort of skills you are going to need for these jobs. So today we are doing a virtual expert session, and what we're going to be looking at is a quick overview of the IT and digital technology sector and opportunities in that sector. We will then introduce you to our expert, who is Jessica Auld from Aegon, and we'll give some questions to Jessica. So I would encourage you to get as involved as you can today. We've got a Q&A box at the bottom of the screen, and you can ask us any questions you want through the session. We'll try and get as many of these answered as we possibly can. Just to let you know, today's session is being recorded, and that's so that young people who can't make it today can still access this, and it'll be available for everyone to watch on the My World of Work YouTube channel. Plus, that means you can go back and rewatch everything that's talked about today. Don't worry though, everything you ask can be anonymous, and you can select that option in the Q&A box below. So let's first of all have a wee look at the IT and digital technology sector. So as you can see here, there are currently over 100,000 people employed in digital roles in Scotland. However, only 40% of these are employed in the digital technology sector. 60% are employed in digital roles across other sectors. Every year, there are approximately 13,000 new opportunities. The average salary is over £36,000 a year, and this is 26% higher than the average Scottish salary. So our expert today is Jessica. So she works for Enterprise Information Security at Aegon, and she's also working towards a degree in cybersecurity. So she's working in the InfoSec User Awareness Programme, and you can see she does a big range of different activities as part of this team. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pass you over to Jessica, and she'll tell you more about her role.
Hello, so yeah, I'm Jessica, and at the moment, like Lindsay said, I'm working for a company called Aegon, which is a financial services provider specialising in things like pensions, investments and insurance. I'm currently in my third year of my graduate apprenticeship programme, where I'm working towards a degree in cybersecurity. So as part of that, I work 4 days a week, and then I have university the other day. But before I joined Aegon, I originally went to study sport and exercise science, weirdly enough, but I quickly discovered that it wasn't for me. So I left after my first year, and I just went into a customer service role. And then after that, I joined the civil service fast track apprenticeship scheme, doing business and administration for the Ministry of Defence. And then once I had completed that, I think I wanted a new challenge. So the one I'm in just now is definitely the best one I've had so far, and I can definitely see myself staying in a career in digital and technology sector.
Okay, that sounds really good. It's quite interesting. You didn't actually start off in digital technology. So at what point was it that you decided to make that change? Can I go into something digital?
I think I've seen there was a lot of stuff in the news about different headlines within like cybersecurity and technology and stuff, and I actually thought that was really quite interesting. And then I think I was just looking on LinkedIn and stuff, and I actually seen this opportunity come up, and I was like, I feel as though I have to apply for it, because I've been noticing all these like articles and stuff in the news in relation to like cybersecurity and how it's such a good career. So I felt as though I just had to go for it then and there.
Yeah, brilliant. And sometimes that's what you've got to do, isn't it? When you see the opportunity, you've got to grab it. Yeah, so we've had some questions in from the audience. So first question I have here is, are there apprenticeships available with Aegon, and if so, which ones?
At the minute, there's not any graduate apprenticeship schemes, so the one I'm doing, but they are looking to maybe introduce that again next year. But they do different ones, so they do like modern apprenticeships and as well as like professional qualifications and stuff. So there's like work-based learning qualifications you can do, and there's also like financial ones and stuff. So there is definitely opportunities out there at Aegon, should you want to look into it a bit more.
Okay, that sounds really good. And someone else is asking, this is quite interesting for you, given you kind of came into a different route. What subjects would you recommend I do at school?
So I would definitely recommend your maths and English, a science, and a computer related course. Now, I didn't actually do computing at school because I didn't know what I wanted to do when I left. But I would definitely recommend a computing one, because it'll give you a lot of background knowledge if you were to go into this kind of sector.
Yeah, that's really good. And this kind of has a nice lead into the next question, which is, do I need to be good at computing?
No, because if you're like me, I knew the basics of computing, like Excel, all that kind of stuff, but computing was never something I was interested in growing up at school. Um, it was never something I had a real hobby in, so I didn't really do stuff like that in my spare time. But you definitely don't need to be good at it. I think you just need to have an interest in it and the kind of desire to learn more about it, because you're definitely able to pick it up. It might take you a little bit longer, but it's definitely not impossible because I'm managing it.
Yeah, and that's really good. It's good, I suppose, that if you don't get it at school, you can get it later on. So, again, this is a really interesting one for you. Do I need to go to university or college?
I wouldn't say so. A lot of employers like a degree or something similar to that, but I've noticed now that a lot of employers are more just looking for your enthusiasm and like your desire to learn on the job. And if you have like good transferable skills, then that puts you in good stead for it as well. Obviously, like prior experience is good, or if you do these kind of things like tech related things as a hobby, then that's all things you can put on a CV. So a lot of the time they're not actually looking for your degree, they're looking at who you are as a person and how keen you are to learn on the job type stuff. So no, I wouldn't say so.
Yeah, and sometimes I think you learn more once you're actually in the job than you do with
Definitely.
studying anyway. Okay, and someone's asking, what uni or college did you go to? So I know you're doing your graduate apprenticeship just now. So what uni is that through?
Yeah, so that's through Edinburgh Napier University. There are a few different universities that do it, but certainly for the cybersecurity side of things, then Napier is definitely a good uni to go for that.
Okay, that's really good. And I've had a question here now. Don't worry, I'm not going to ask you your salary, but someone's asking what the pay is like. So, as I said in the previous slide, the average salary is over 36,000 a year. I think in the digital sector, you can be looking at maybe a starting salary, sometimes of 20,000, 25,000. You can be looking at salaries up to 50,000. So it's quite a broad range, but it's generally quite a well-paid sector. Would you say so?
Yeah, I'd say so. And even for me as an apprentice just now, I think when you think of an apprentice, you automatically think that they're on a really low wage. But I would say this is quite a comfortable wage. And there is so many opportunities to progress in the technology and cybersecurity centres. So if you put on the work, then you'll definitely be on course to make a good salary.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And again, this is quite a good question. Someone's asking, do you have to travel around to do your job?
At the minute, I don't, but there are people on my course and stuff that do a lot of travelling for their work. Obviously, not the now because of coronavirus, but they've been sort of all over the world. So I think it just depends on what your role is and what company you work for. But I've been up and down to like England and stuff a few times with my job, but I think it just depends what where there's other organisations and stuff.
Yeah.
So there might be opportunity for me to travel to different Aegon locations in the future, but not for a while we're all stuck at home.
Probably not for anyone, but that's good to know. Um, and who influenced you the most to start a career in IT?
I think it was, yeah, I think it was myself because before I applied for this job, I was in two minds whether to take it or not because, well, to start with, I didn't think I was qualified to be able to do a job like this because it was totally out my comfort zone. So I spoke to my family and stuff a lot about it, and they said, like, what you got to lose? You might as well try it. So, but yeah, I think it was myself that made the final decision, and then I just kind of took the plunge and went for it, and it's worked out okay. So
Yeah, so you'll be glad you kind of took it's not even a risk really, is it? But you thought, like, what's the harm in applying? So it's
yeah,
obviously worked out to your advantage, and that's really good to know that you can just jump in sometimes. Yeah. And so this is someone's asking, what clients do you work with in cybersecurity?
so us personally at Aegon, well, I personally don't really work with clients as such, but we do have a lot of different third parties that we have to interact with in the business because Aegon is obviously such a big company. We have different third parties that work with us. So we have to do a thing called like third party assurance on them to make sure that they are safe to work for us, and like vice versa. Aegon is a pension company, obviously have their services to different companies, so then we have to make sure that our systems and networking and stuff is all secure, so we can give our customers and clients peace of mind. So it works both ways for us.
Yeah, that's really interesting though. It's good that you get to do these different things, and it's things you don't think about, I suppose. And so someone's asking as well, what extracurricular activities could I do that could help with an IT career?
So there's lots of things you could do. I think it's always good to learn like a coding or programming language. So things like Java or like C#, things like that. There's always there's loads of courses on sort of programming that you can do online for free. So I would definitely say do one of them if you can. There's obviously things just like reading up on like computer networking and cybersecurity and things like that. I don't think you can really fault yourself if you just constantly look at different things on the internet. But yeah, I would definitely say learn a coding language, because that's maybe one of the areas that I wish I did sooner.
Yeah, and it's such a valuable skill now as well. Okay, so that's quite a good question. Do you work weekends?
No, absolutely not. I'm guessing probably at some other companies you might get to do overtime and stuff, but we definitely have our weekends to ourselves, which is always good to switch off at the end of a busy week.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, and someone's asking as well, and this is a really good question. What did you learn from previous learning and jobs that helped with your work in Aegon?
So I think having done the university side of things the first time round, and then going into like another like apprenticeship type thing, it was more like the problem solving and time management and task prioritization side of things. And then also in my last job, that was kind of like a project support role. So I was communicating with loads of different stakeholders and stuff. So I would say like good transferable skills I probably learned in my first few years of working. So yeah, definitely like communication, time management, your task prioritization, and being adaptive to change. So like certainly in my job, we can change what we're working on quite quickly just because of the various things that are happening in the sort of cybersecurity sector. So you need to be quite adaptive to change and then prioritise everything around what's happening. So yeah, I've definitely learned a lot from my few other roles that I've had.
Yeah, and that's really good. It's good, I suppose, that you're still, even when you're not doing what you want to do, you're still picking up skills that will kind of take you where you want to be. And so someone's asking as well, what does your day-to-day job look like?
So normally in the mornings, I do a bit of like logging and reporting. So we our web application firewalls, they get monitored. So basically anything, so like the web application firewalls like filter, monitor and block traffic to stop anything malicious sort of entering our network. So every morning we do a little review of that and see if there's anything malicious trying to enter the network, and if there is, then you raise tickets and stuff like that. And then, so that's normally my morning. At the minute, working from home, I feel as though we're just in meetings all day over Microsoft Teams. So meetings take up a lot of my time. And then the main part of my work just now is user awareness stuff. So that's trying to keep the business up to date with all things like user awareness. So like I just recently had to roll out a phishing campaign thing. So like every quarter we do phishing simulations, which is just to basically test the business to see if they would click on any dodgy emails. So I've been spending a bit of time sort of designing them. So we use them as like a training and awareness exercise. So yeah, especially since like working from home, we've all had to change how we work. So it's been sort of, yeah, user awareness stuff around that.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really interesting as well, just the different things you can get involved in. So this is a really interesting question. Someone's saying, do you think art is important for IT to help showcase that you have creative thinking?
Well, funnily enough, I did higher art at school, and I think so because I think any subject will put you in good stead for a career in IT, because if you can show that you're creative, and then it sort of means you can think outside the box, and especially if you're new to a job, you're like a fresh pair of eyes, so you might see something different as to what someone who's been in the job for 20 years might see. And I think that's what people keep saying to me is like, I'm a fresh pair of eyes and I have like a new approach to different things. So yeah, I think definitely art, any subject is good for this kind of area.
Okay, that's really good. And this is one that comes up a lot with IT. So someone's saying, is this a mainly male-dominated sector? And if so, how do you find that?
Well, at the minute it is, but it's definitely changing. I think for me, like I can't say I've had any problems with it. There is another girl in my team who's lovely, but yeah, our team is predominantly male, but it's not a problem. Everybody sees you as an equal person, so everyone in my team is so nice. And I think everyone's just there to work, so it's nothing, doesn't matter if you're male or female or whatever, but yeah, it is predominantly male, but it is definitely changing. So if you go on LinkedIn and stuff, there's definitely a lot of women out there who are advocating for more women in technology and stuff. So it's nice, it's positive to see that it's changing. So yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of moving in the right direction. I think now we're getting, and the more women go, the more women might be inclined to come into computing and STEM and things like that. So this is a really good question. Someone's saying, did you have a part-time job at school? Do you think that would be helpful?
Yeah, I think a part-time job's always a good thing. I actually had two part-time jobs at school. I worked in a chip shop and I worked at like a horse riding school. So I think having a part-time job kind of disciplined you a little bit, because obviously you had to show up to work, you had to have good time management skills, and then whatever kind of job you're doing, you might not realise it, but you're picking up skills that will help you in your future jobs. So if it's a customer service role, like if you're working in a shop, then you're constantly communicating with people. And then when you actually come to do that in like an office environment, you'll be much more confident than someone who's not really had much interaction with people. So, and even things like counting money and stuff, everything you do is always useful. And what might not seem useful at the time will definitely be useful when it comes to it. And you'll think back being like, well, I'm glad I did that actually.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really good advice, I think. And so someone's asking as well, do you have any cool tips you've learned in terms of IT by using Teams as we use it at school?
Tips for teams? Not, that sounds bad. Not really actually. We use it for our meetings and we have a lot of group chats and stuff, and I think it's quite good in that sense, especially since we are all spread out nowadays. Like there's people in my team at work who I've never met because they started during coronavirus, so it's been good to be able to interact with them, and I think the whole networking side of things is really good on that side. And there's also so many different applications on Teams that you can utilise for your work. I think especially with your school work and stuff, there's so many different applications on there that's good just to go in and have a little look at and see what might actually benefit you. I think obviously being part of an organisation, some of the stuff's blocked for us. But yeah, definitely I know there's good applications on there that could help you with your schoolwork and maybe you're taking notes and like making lists and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't have any tips, but I know it's really useful if you utilise it properly.
Yeah, it's a really good resource. Okay, and someone's saying, would you recommend the cybersecurity sector as a first job for anyone, or do you need prior experience?
I definitely don't think you need prior experience. If it's something that you're interested in, then yeah, I would definitely go for it. Part of me thinks that I wish I'd picked it up sooner because there are so many opportunities for you. So if you're wanting to do that as your first job, then definitely go for it. It's not a job that you're going to get bored of, because there's so many different avenues to go down for cybersecurity. Like even in my job role just now, I'm doing a few different things. So every day is different. So you won't get bored in that sense. And plus, cybersecurity is always changing, so it's always evolving. So what you're doing for a few months might be completely different to what you're doing in the next few months. So it's definitely an interesting yet challenging role if you're interested in it. So yeah, I would definitely go for it.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing with technology, it's ever changing, isn't it? Okay, so again, this is a really good question. Back to the kind of male-female thing. Someone says, do males get paid more than females in IT?
It's not something I would know particularly, but certainly not at Aegon. They're an equal pay employer. So, and I think you'll find that with a lot of companies nowadays, they're shifting to that equal pay. So if you're male or female, you would be on the same salary for the job that you do.
Okay, and this is a really good one. What is the most important personal quality IT specialists should demonstrate on their CV?
I think depending on what role you want to go down, if you want to go down a really technical role, if you want to be like a specific programmer or something, that takes quite a specific set of skills. But if you're going in to like a role that I'm doing, which is like information security, they're looking at more your people side of skills. Obviously they want the good technical skills, so like your knowledge of cybersecurity, information security, things like that. But I've found that they're looking at your transferable skills and your sort of passion for the subject. So if you're motivated to learn on the job and you have good communication skills, problem solving and analytic skills, as well as like time management skills, then they put you in quite good stead as over someone who will have good skills, but they might not have the people skills, because a lot of jobs in the technology role are people facing. So you need to interact with people pretty much on a daily basis. So whereas before, I think when you thought about cybersecurity, it was just people sat in a room all day just coding away, but that's not the case anymore. I think it's grew arms and legs, and it's more about the communication and stakeholder engagement side of things. Because I think certainly what I've found is we can be quite bogged down in our role and we understand it really well, but it's the other people in the business that need to understand it. So if we can explain stuff and make them understand it, then that's half the battle for us. So yeah, definitely communication skills, problem solving skills, and then your technical skills as well.
Okay, that's really good. I think that's maybe some skills people might not think are kind of top skills in IT, so that's really good to know. Okay, and someone's asking as well, how many hours do you work in a week and what are your working hours?
So I work 35 hours a week, but it's flexi time, so I can start anytime from like 7 till 10 in the morning, and then I can finish after anytime after 3:45. So Aegon's really flexible in that sense, and also if you work additional hours, then you can build up flexi time. So like I worked an extra 7 hours, so I got a day off.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so it's quite good in that sense. I think obviously when it's busier, you'll work a bit longer, but it's flexible in the sense that you can have a longer day one day and then a shorter day the next. So it's quite good that way.
Yeah, that's really good. Okay, and again, this is a good question here. Have you ever been hacked or hacked someone else?
I've never hacked anyone, but I have been hacked myself. Just to point out, it was before I started this course. Yeah, I'm really guilty of it. Before I worked here, I probably had quite poor knowledge of cybersecurity and stuff. So like my passwords and stuff were all rubbish, and I just wasn't quite tech savvy in that sense. So yeah, my eBay account got hacked. Not that I ever buy anything off eBay. I think I signed up and bought something once, but yeah, that ended up getting hacked, and they took loads of money out of my bank and stuff. And that was actually, I think, the week before I was due to start this job. So I didn't know if it was a bit of a bad sign, but it's worked out okay. But yeah, I think it just shows us that we're all human, and like people even in the tech jobs are susceptible to being hacked and stuff as well, but we're trying to raise it. That's why we're trying to raise awareness on how to manage these things better and how to protect ourselves against these kind of things.
Yeah, and as you said, it can happen to anyone. It's just some people get unlucky, unfortunately. So someone says, what is the best piece of career advice you've ever been given?
Don't be afraid to try it, because my family told me, what have you got to lose? And if you get offered an opportunity, take it, and then even if you think you're not qualified, take the opportunity that you get and then learn how to do it after it. There's no point looking back and saying, oh, I wish I did that. And then also ask loads of questions. If you're unsure about anything, just ask a question, even if it seems really stupid or it's really small. Just ask the questions, because people have asked it before. Like, I think if you're working with all these tech professionals and stuff, you might think it's a bit of a silly question, but you're not going to learn unless you ask questions. So definitely just get stuck in and ask as many questions as you can and learn as much as possible.
Yeah, I think that's brilliant advice. And so this is a good one. What is the best thing about working for Aegon?
So I think for me, like, every day is different. So I'm not stuck doing the same thing day in and day out. I'm always learning something new. I think even if I wasn't doing this graduate course, there's so many different opportunities available at Aegon that you could be picking up different things to learn. And like I've said before, like, being in the cybersecurity and digital and technology bit, it's always changing. So we're always looking at different ways of working and stuff like that. So that's really interesting. And then I'll give my team a little plug. They're a really good team. My team are the best team to work with. So yeah, I think it's really good when you have a good team. It makes your job so much better.
Yeah, definitely. And so this is a good one. Would you recommend a modern or graduate apprenticeship route into employment?
Yeah, absolutely. I've tried doing university the standard way, and I don't know why it didn't work for me. I think it was just, I don't know, I think whether it was I had too many jobs on at the same time, or I wasn't there, I didn't stay on campus or whatever. I just felt that way didn't work for me. But like, in modern apprenticeships and graduate apprenticeships, you're learning on the job, and I think that's been invaluable. I think if I was just to do cybersecurity on its own, it would have been a completely different challenge for me. But you're seeing like real life experience working and doing your degree, so I think it's definitely went kind of like hand in hand, and it's definitely helped. So yeah, if you can get involved in an apprenticeship or the graduate apprenticeship scheme, I would definitely go for it.
Yeah, and I think there's so many routes in these days, but I think that's a really good route, as you said, for getting experience on the job. So someone's asking as well, what mistakes have you made in your career and how did you learn from it?
So I think I can't think of any like specific mistakes, but you know yourself when you've done something that's not either been your best effort, or you have maybe just totally mucked something up and you've had to go and fix it. But I think what I would say is, don't get stressed out about it, because it's happened, and it's probably happened before you've done it as well. So everybody makes mistakes, like, on the daily basis. Like, it's nothing to be ashamed of. Like, you don't learn unless you make mistakes, I feel, because then how can you better yourself, or how can you learn from that? So normally, if I've done, what I find is, like, at the end of a week, I will write like a reflective log.
Well, that's really good.
So we've been asked to do this through our university side of things, but it actually really helps doing a reflective log, like what went well, what didn't go too well, what would you do differently next time. And I feel just like noting all that sort of things down, and then when you go to do something similar again, you can look back at it and say, right, this is how it went the last time, how can we change it this time? I think it's just kind of like taking a step back and looking at the bigger picture to see how you can fix stuff. But yeah, there's definitely no harm in making mistakes.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the case. And as you said, mistakes are how most people learn. So that's really good. Someone's asking, is Duke of Edinburgh a good award to have for cybersecurity?
Yeah, I think Duke of Edinburgh is quite a highly recognised thing throughout Scotland. I know a lot of my friends did that when they were at school, and that's put them in good stead for their jobs that they're doing. I think it just shows good leadership skills. It shows good, like I said before, the transferable skills side of things.
Yeah.
It shows that you can be a leader. It shows that you can communicate as a group. It shows that you can get stuck into different challenges and stuff. So yeah, anything similar to that as well is good for cybersecurity, because it shows you that you're kind of dedicated to these kind of things.
Yeah.
And I think that's what people want in a tech job. They want someone who's dedicated to sort of making a difference and stuff. So yeah, definitely helps.
Yeah, that's really good. Okay, and someone's asking as well, do you have any tips for ethical hacking?
I haven't learned that yet. So if you have me back again, I can maybe tell you in a year or two. But yeah, I would say on that side of things, it's important not to get bogged down or go down a sort of dangerous route for that, because if you kind of cross the border of ethical hacking, then it can be quite dangerous. And yes, I wouldn't recommend. Don't push the boundaries too much. There was somebody. It's good to be curious at things, but I think there's been people at university and stuff who have kind of tested the boundaries a bit too far, and then it's ended quite badly for them. So
Right.
yeah, so just kind of know your limits to it, but yeah, don't end up going down the dodgy route of being a cyber criminal.
Yeah, it's slippery slope. Okay, and so someone's asking, I think you've already spoken about this quite a lot. So someone's asking, what are the most important skills in your job?
So for me at the minute, because I'm doing quite a range of tasks just now, I haven't decided what sort of technical route I'm going down. So I am learning different programming languages through university. I'm looking at networking and stuff. But yeah, I think the main things for me just now are communication, trying to improve my communication skills, my presenting skills. I think that's quite a thing that I'm trying to get better at just now, because you need to present stuff to senior members of staff, to different parts of the business. And if you can't explain what you're trying to do in your work, then it makes it quite difficult to try and sort of get your problems solved in that sense, or make the business understand why we need to do something. Also that sort of problem solving, time management and task prioritization, because you will, at points in your job, you will be busy. So it's important to manage that so you're not getting too stressed, but then you're not letting your jobs, the quality of your jobs slip. So yeah, it's all transferable skills that are probably most important at the minute for me. I mean, maybe when I go down a specialist route, then the more technical side of things will come up. But yeah, for now, it's just trying to nail the transferable skills.
Yeah, that's really good. Okay, and what are the most enjoyable parts of your job?
Yeah, so every day is different. I haven't. I'll be honest. Before my jobs, I used to get quite bored quite easily, because it was kind of the same thing day in and day out. But every day is different. It's quite exciting looking on the news and stuff. Well, it can be quite scary actually sometimes when you're looking at all this stuff in the news in relation to technology and cyber security, and then you can be you relate that to your job. So it's real world experience and stuff in that sense. I'm always learning new things. So in that sense, I feel even if, by always learning new things, like I said, I'm not bored. So I'm focused on what I'm doing. I'm committed to my job. I want to do well in that job. And I think that's one of the most important things, being passionate about something. And I don't think I had that until I've been in this job. So I want to make a difference in this job. So I think that's one of the most enjoyable parts, that I actually do enjoy it. Whereas before my jobs were just jobs. But this is actually something that I enjoy. So it's quite nice actually.
Yeah, that's really good to hear. That's brilliant. Okay, I think this is going to be our last question today. What are the most challenging parts of your job?
So at the minute, doing my graduate apprentice, it's probably the work, study, life balance. I think as you progress through your apprenticeship, things do get a bit more challenging in the sense that you're taking on more in your job, so you're taking more responsibilities in that sense. But then you're coming into your final years of your degree, so that's becoming more challenging. So just trying to prioritise like when and where you do your work and when you do your university work, but then you also want to have your life as well still. So that's one of the main things I've found is a bit of a challenge, but it's definitely doable. But yeah, and sometimes learning on the job can, although it's overall totally beneficial, it can be quite stressful sometimes because you might not pick things up straight away. But like I said before, I've found that you just have to ask questions and just keep at people, like set up meetings for silly things just to get something explained. But yeah, definitely I've found just to ask questions when I'm struggling, and everyone's there to help you. So if you ever think that you're alone in sort of things, then no, I think everyone realises that we're learning, so they want us to succeed as much as we do. So yeah, it's nice that I can just ask questions about anything and they help me.
Yeah, that's really good. And I think it's one of those things, as you said, like there's no harm in asking questions. No question's a stupid question. I think you never know everything anyway.
Yeah.
So I think that's really good. So I think that's us almost out of time for today. So thank you very much, Jessica, for coming along. So if anyone's looking for further information on careers, there's our website, which is My World of Work. These are some roles which are similar to the work that Jessica is doing. And also, if you're interested in maybe looking at a digital career, our website Digital World is a really good resource. And if you're looking at the apprenticeship route, maybe something like Jessica's done, or even foundation or modern apprenticeships, we have apprenticeships.scot. So thank you, Jessica, again for joining us, and thank you to everyone for logging on.